What's up guys, Sean here, and in this video I'm just going to be going over my thoughts and opinions on the Hinderer situation because I know there is some controversy going on amongst the community about the way that Rick Hinderer responds to people in the community and how he treats the fans and customers of his knives that have anything negative to say. And I feel that he has really made an ass out of himself, and I don't have any respect for the arrogance in his attitude lately and lack of respect for others. There's nothing wrong with being able to humble yourself a little bit and take some constructive criticism, especially if people aren't coming at your neck. Do I feel that he makes excellent knives? Yes. And I know he has really done his best to build his company and make these knives in the best tolerances possible as far as the machining goes. But one of the big issues that a lot of people have is with the heat treat of the steel, which I'll be the first to say I haven't experienced an issue with his heat treat protocol, but he claims that they are between 59 to 61 Rockwell, and that's a pretty large range. It's common to see a variance of 1 or 2 degrees, but to have a variation of 3 degrees in hardness, honestly, nobody wants to get M390 or 20 CV at 59 Rockwell. 60 is like acceptable bare minimum. 61 is okay, it's getting a little bit better. I personally haven't had any issues with edge retention or anything like that, but another thing is the factory edges on these. All three of the Hinderer XM18s that I've gotten have come with a pretty poor factory edge. Now, the bevels were even and everything, but they're sharpened at a high angle or a high degree, so they're close to 30 degrees per side from the factory, which might be okay for toughness, but it sucks for cutting. And not only that, but they do not come very sharp at all. Now, with me being really into sharpening, I never really had that much of an issue with it because I get knives on the secondary market all the time, and I'd never expect for them to come sharp. I just sharpen them up myself, put a good edge on it, and I'm usually good to go from there. I actually prefer getting a dull factory edge that has even bevels and everything, because I can put a good edge on it and I don't have to worry about any poor sharpening that was done by somebody else, and I can ensure that the knife has a good edge put on it without any wasted blade steel and all that good stuff. So I've sharpened all of mine, and I just put a fresh edge on this one today. I gave this one a 21 degree per side edge. I had it at 23 and it did pretty good, but I wanted to get a little bit more cutting performance out of it, so I dropped it down to 21 and left it at a 600 grit finish versus a couple thousand grit mirror edge, and it seems to be really, really nice. So I personally don't have an issue with the way his edges come, but I do find it kind of ridiculous for, a knife over $400, it should be coming sharp because, you have to consider not everybody out there is a professional sharpener, and not everybody feels comfortable sharpening a $400 knife, and you should be able to get some amount of use out of a knife in this price range before needing to resharpen it. You shouldn't have to sharpen it right away in order to get decent cutting performance. So I can understand the complaints completely, and the way that Rick Hinderer responded, basically attacking the person's character instead of just explaining his viewpoint, or why he does it the way that he does. He had to go overboard and try to basically make it out as that other people don't know what they're talking about, and that everything that he does is by the book and it's the right way, and that everybody else is wrong. And that's really a bad attitude to have, even if he does feel that way inside, which I can somewhat understand, with as much work as, you put all your blood, sweat, and tears into a company, into these designs, into constantly upgrading equipment to the point that you have the best equipment possible to make knives at the best quality, at the best tolerances. And there's a sense of pride in your craft. So it's, in a way, you have to understand that it is hard to take criticism on something that you work so hard at. And I've kind of come across that just with this channel. I put so many hours that are unseen into this channel and trying to make it better, and it does get under your skin a little bit when somebody is criticizing you. But it's, in this situation, it's an issue that really, it's something that he could easily fix. So he could have just tried to be polite, and bit his tongue and taken care of it. And he should be wanting to provide the highest performance possible. As time goes on and people do more research and development, the optimum protocol for heat treats might have changed since when he initially adopted Pete's Heat Treat. All right, so Pete's Heat Treat, or I think that's the company that does his heat treating, but the recipe or whatever protocol that it calls for, that might have been thought to be optimum at one point, but that's not the case anymore. And thanks to Dr. Laren Thomas and a bunch of small-time independent knife makers who are able to do these custom heat treats and stuff, and their experimentation and research, they've come to find that M390 and 20CV do a lot better at between 61 and 63, or 61 and 64. So it's really uncalled for Rick Hinderer's response. I mean, honestly, he could have just ignored it. He didn't have to respond at all. But for him to go out of his way to really be an asshole to this guy, who is a knife maker himself, and pretty much attack his business and try to insinuate that he doesn't know what he's doing and everything, and doesn't know what he's talking about, I think that's just wrong, especially because it just wasn't true. Facts are facts, and facts aren't feelings. So just because your ego gets bruised doesn't give you the right to try and twist the truth. You know, the truth is the truth. That's not, it's not anyone else's fault that he hasn't updated his heat treat protocol yet. It's not anyone else's fault that he hasn't adjusted the way that he sharpens the knives, and come up with a way to put a better edge on them from the factory. I'll be the first to tell you, my XM18s are probably my favorite knives, and it's really disappointing and upsetting to see Rick Hinderer act this way. I've never met the guy personally. I've never spoke to him personally, but I'm a big fan of his work. So it is very disappointing in my eyes, and it does make me think twice about, am I gonna purchase another Hinderer knife? Do I want to support a man's business who treats his customers that way, and treats the knife community that way? I don't know, guys. I mean, it makes me even question carrying these. And I already paid for these and I love them, so I'm gonna keep carrying them. But I don't know, it's a messed up situation, and at the end of the day, Rick Hinderer has to be responsible for his actions and the words that come out of his mouth, and he has to be responsible for the consequences that follow. I have to be responsible for my words, and we're all grown men here. So as an adult, you have to take some accountability. And that's how I feel on it. Do I think that Rick Hinderer is a bad person or a piece of shit or whatever? I don't know. It's not my place to judge. But I will say, it really does. It's a big turnoff, the way that he acted. And also another thing, everybody makes mistakes. I'm not one to hold grudges. So if he was to come out and apologize and, try to make things right and make amends and, just act like a decent guy, I would have a whole lot more respect for him as a person. And, I would just let all this stuff go. I would put it behind us as long as he didn't continue to, berate or belittle his customers. So that's my thoughts on the Hinderer situation. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.